Need some water right now, you guys. It's a crazy day. Give us a 1 if you can hear us, please. Thank you guys for joining. Oh, we missed Autumn. Sorry, Autumn. Hope you catch the replay. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, brother. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So you guys, I'm going to go over a few things. Benny's got the same things that I've got. I sent him over already. So there's 300 cops right now on their off time working backlogs on this case, on leads, going all the way back a year back. So we got 300 off officers working for this. So it's an overtime thing. And it looks like there was a few cars confiscated. I mean, it has to do possibly with the drug raids that went on as well. So there was a few drug raids that went on. And then, Benny, I think they said something like 58 to 127 warrants. Are you still there?
Wow.
Yeah, 58 to 127
Big sweep
warrants were signed off. And there's going to be cops working overtime on this for the next 2 weeks straight. That's how many warrants and leads are going on. What's up, Jim? Benny, what do you think about the cops on the water right now? We've got 50 cops on water right now, which we're not going to disclose where it is because a bunch of people will go over there and try to screw up the investigation.
Right.
So it's not worth it to me to give up any kind of source lead on where they're at. I tried to make it there to as close as possible without affecting it. But again, my source said, just sit back, sit tight. And I said, okay, that's the best bet because, I'd like to bring everything in full time and real time. And so is Benny. So, Benny, why don't you recover these points? We got 300 cops that are, on their off time working. Why would that be, you think?
Well,
do you think
they have
this point?
You broke up, Doug. I'm sorry.
Do you think they're looking for live bodies at this point?
Well, it'd really be hard to put in the air either way because you could look at the nautical navigation of this case just covering a base. There's a science also to submerging a body and keeping it submerged correctly. As the body decays, the gases build, and it takes considerably more weight to keep down an object that you had initially started with X amount of weight. With the extra buoyancy of the gases, things begin to move up. So,
which I believe is methane gas. Typically, I believe it's methane gas. Exactly. Methane gas is in your body.
Methane, yes. Yeah, nitrogen-rich gases, which are lighter than the water and cause them to become buoyant. So,
right.
With all of the physics involved with what it takes to keep something submerged, they could just be generically covering it with sonar. Now you also run into the idea potentially that if they have been submerged, that they've been submerged correctly, and so you're using sonar to bounce the bottom, kind of like the diver guys on.
Let's talk about submerging for a minute. Now, if they're submerged in a plastic container that's tied up in rope, a lot of that methane gas will fill up inside that container. But again, if it's tied down and weighted properly, it might take longer to surface, I believe. And so depending on how...
Right, and the problem with putting it inside of the container for me is that what you do is you actually protect the physical evidence. So, I think the idea for me would probably revolve a nautical issue would consist of just weighing down the bodies, because then you have the marine life that will then start taking part in it and helping break down evidence and things of that nature. So, anything is possible as far as the water is concerned.
And also with the water, it would take away fingerprints. It would take away certain aspects of people being able to identify who's touched the bodies last. Hair fragments, a lot of stuff could have been dismissed due to the submerging. if this is the case,
The whole
and I believe they're checking all leads. But if that's the case, that's how I see that.
Yeah, I mean, to put them inside of a receptacle of any sort, it doesn't make a lot of sense in the way of protecting the evidence, and it's also an extra step adding to the complexity. So maybe if you thought about trying to come back later, that might be a potential route to take. But I think that you start looking in the water, it becomes a more complex issue because in order to get them into any sort of depth, the layman mind would tell you that you have to go off the shore further. So unless this is a deep shored lake, I'm not going to discuss the details of where the lake is, but you start involving the idea of a vessel in order to carry them, kind of like the Scott Peterson deal. So,
50. There's 50 people on a boat right now. 50, you guys, looking in water. I don't think they're going off a basis of a lead from the average person. I think these are leads that have been accumulated through possibly these warrants that were served for talk warrants to come in an interview, and also possible knowledge of previous spots or other pings. And again, the ping locations you brought up, that was a great video you did, Benny. And I have to say that I believe that if you have a burner phone that doesn't, that you bought from like 7-Eleven or Walmart or whatever, I believe that they won't be able to tell who had that phone. And a lot of people in the game who are selling dope or guns or whatever they're doing, a lot of them are using burner phones. So you got to also think about the burner phones as a possibility of not pinging an area, and possibly other people taking their phones to disrupt or disengage this investigation. Hey, take my phone, drive that way, make some phone calls, let it ping.
Right.
And then I'm over here. Nobody knows where we're at that point. And that's another thing that I've been thinking about and looking at as well.
One thing, guys, that I want to remind you about the cell pinging now. When even if you have a burner phone, guys, and you have ever hooked it up to the Wi-Fi at your house, same as you did your main phone, it's collecting that IP data. And so then what they start running into is issues where they're not even searching potentially for a particular phone. They're just searching the IP address and things that have connected to that other devices. So Doug is right. If you did have a burner phone and you kept it disconnected from any Wi-Fi that numerically is associated to you, then you're in the good. But you then, when you become the spectacle or the speculation of such an investigation, everything is being looked at. Walmart. Okay, maybe you go to Walmart and buy a burner phone, but are you on the video at Walmart buying the burner phone? Being on the video buying a burner phone is just as good as not having the burner phone, but it being connected to your IP address, if that makes sense.
And out here in California, there's the Obama phones and things. I don't know in Texas how that works, but you can take like an EBT card or this or that, and you get a phone with unlimited data, unlimited texting, and things like that. So again, a lot of people are on drugs and things like that. I think I have to think like a criminal or think like a drug addict to try to figure out, how they would think in this aspect of the pinging and stuff. And if I was to be that criminal, like I said, or that person, you would have to have a burner phone. And even if it was an Obama phone, a lot of people trade them for dope and trade them for guns, trade them for this, trade them for that. You may never know, but it's going to lead back to the person that traded it also, because it goes under their gun. So there are ways to track certain different types of phones. Again, if they didn't get to a Wi-Fi, and great point, Ben, or something that's an IP addressable app or something that takes in your information, then they may never see that.
Yeah, guys, and I want to remind you guys. I stumbled onto a new technology last night, looking into the pinging science, and it's called a Stingray. And this Stingray, in its inception, it's a box, and this box could be planted in an area. It can be planted, out of reach.
It looks just like a generator, Benny. It's a mobile communication tower.
Correct. So what it is it's actually an emulator, and what it does is it tricks all the phones in the radius that's set up through the software, and it connects phones to that instead of the cell towers around. Now, I'm not insinuating that one of these Stingrays was in use in anything in this, but I think that it's very plausible to believe that Stingrays are being used in some facet with this investigation, as far as people going live. Once you go live and you've been connected to a Stingray and you don't know it, the whole guts of your phone are now available to be looked at in real time. And now, when in the inception of the Stingray, it was price gouged at $122,000, but law enforcement can get these roughly from $40,000 on down, depending on how many you buy. So Stingray is a very prevalent technology.
And
Guys,
our tax dollars actually go towards paying for that. So
Absolutely.
so if you guys don't think that we're paying for our own demise at some point, or some grab bag, like, a lot of people let on themselves in certain ways because they're not thinking. So
and there's two ways that you can set up the Stingray. You can set up the Stingray in a preemptive measure where you're intercepting chatter, or you can set it up as a post collector to collect the post chatter after it happens for investigative purposes. If you're on the crime prevention side, it's being used one way, or you could throw this Stingray in a Fed car and pull it out a search. You could draw people in, and then you could start to monitor their devices in real time.
Now, do you think that they're doing this also to monitor us YouTubers?
Absolutely, without a doubt, 100%. Yeah. Now, of course, you have to be in the search area of the Stingray. I don't know how wide they can set it. I would never admit to knowing I know anything about that, because I don't.
I believe it's a couple miles radius, as I was told, but I can't confirm that yet. I'll have to research that as well. Maybe Aussie Insider or some other people that we know can look up for us and give us a valid answer that we could give for that.
Right. Now, the Stingray, you have to know, is just like a reverse scanner as well. So it's a device that could be put to any car or any, it doesn't have to even be mobile, but you can make one mobile very quickly. When you start to look at kind of technology that federal agents and even county law enforcement have in their vehicle,
they can walk right past you and swipe your phone. They don't even need to show anything. They have stuff on their own phones or devices where they can walk by and even shut down your SIM device. They can shut down your SIM card. They can change the settings on your phone, shut down your live stream, screw with your live stream. And depending on the words being used and the phrases, a lot of times it may trigger that as well.
Right. And one thing I'll tell you guys that the feds are good at, and we saw this in Charles Pettis's case, as far as the public, what the public could look at. Now, the feds, they make mistakes. Not very, very often, they make mistakes. And what happens in a Fed case is you get pulled into what's called a conspiracy, or the RICO web, the RICO net. And that is a sticky thing. It's a sticky piece of statute that will allow a lot of people to get stuck to very little. Now, what happens in the case where conspiracy is brought up, always is there are other charges involved. So as if the RICO doesn't, or one of these other federal charges doesn't stick, what happens is there's alternate auxiliary charges to hold you.
Now, they wouldn't just make an arrest to hold somebody right now because there's not valid information to actually pursue them if they're part of the case. So again, a lot of these talk warrants, and again, there's a group of warrants, and I don't want to say, I believe it's up to 100 and something, but that could be total, but it also could be new warrants that have been signed off that haven't been served yet. So you guys can expect in the next few days a lot more evidence, a lot more research, a lot more proof. Hopefully we find alive, but again, I have to say the way they're searching right now and the inside information that I've been given, again, it's It's great inside information from sources, and I can only bring you that. But I have to say, the way they're on water today and the way they're doing the search now
Right.
it's apparently a recovery, and we're at almost 80 days now.
Yeah, and that is definitely one way that it should be looked at. And I just want to offer another perspective, if that's okay, Doug. The other perspective is, guys, is that potentially they're just clearing old ground, old leads, trying to do it expeditiously so as they can move on to the more recent leads as far as locales. But I will piggyback on what you said by saying that yes, if we're trying to look at the angle that this is a recent lead that is brought into the area, it does not look good at all, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, again, Aussie Insider brought a great different case today where, and Aussie, if you could put it up, the case, I've got so many names in my head right now. If you could put up the case where there was a female, I believe, who was murdered and buried out front of the house or near the house where the dogs didn't pick up on, and she traveled from the house to the school bus every day, and the dogs still didn't pick up that scent. So just because a dog didn't pick up a scent at the West House, or maybe they did, who knows? We don't know the truth to any of that. All we know is what we were told. But I'll have to say that there are mistakes for dogs too. Dogs are not 100% on the ball all the time. They could sense or react and show their handler that, hey, there's drugs in a car. But then again, they never found a drug, and then they have to let those people. So a lot of times they'll sense, or it'll be false positive.
Right. And let me add to that by saying, guys, that as far as the typically in the range of criminality, and not to plug that channel, but in the science of criminality, there's usually some sort of natural progression in someone's criminal record where they kind of arrive at this sort of scenario. And so it's interesting because when you look at the background of both West parties, or all the West parties, it doesn't necessarily show any sort of inkling into this type of activity, of violent activity involving children. There just isn't that background. Now, when you look at other players involved in the case outside of the adoptive family, you start to see a very strong trend of violent activity that has been, that's on the books. This isn't things that people have done allegedly. These are things that people have done and caught for. So you have to look where the red flags are, and that's in every case. But this case has a special mixture of different characters involved. You've got the bio family and you've got the adoptive family, which automatically it makes this case difficult, guys,
and all the affiliations as well that I mentioned, because we don't need to get into that. We're not trying to get into that world. We're just trying to let you know that that's also.
What happens in this case is that, when you look into the typical missing children's case, when you talk in terms of the family, you are talking in terms of one family, which equates to two sides, paternal and maternal. Well, in this case, you have two families in question, which is each side of that. So you have many facets now. Instead of just two angles, you've got bio mom and dad on each side, but now you've got bio mom and dad on the adoptive parent side. So it adds double the caseload and double the potentiality for the family to be involved. You've got now each kid has its own maternal and paternal aspects and sides to the case, and then the adoptive side. So it makes it extremely complex. It automatically doubles the amount of people who could potentially be persons of interest as well.
Sorry, Benny, I was just trying to moderate. We got people in here that think, and it's the other cronies people. We aren't going to mention names, but You guys can see all these people who are on these other channels coming and attacking people. We're not going to bring up these names. We're not going to bring up their comments or whatever.
No.
But we will block them. Well, if someone's blocked, you know that they're just a troll, and then their intentions are horrible, and they're going to do this about the kids, and things like that. Then it's not about the boys. I don't care if you want to attack me personally or physically or through email or whatever. Don't take it out on my people in this room. Don't take it out on the good people in this community. Don't take it out on Benny. Take it out on me after the fact. If you guys can't do that, we'll just keep booting you. We'll just keep booting you. And you know what? You're wasting your breath on your Sunday, and you need a little God in your life. You need a little God in your life. Take some time, go pray. Go pray instead of coming here and make a stupid comment. And that's the last we're going to talk. And mods, if you guys could take anybody that makes a comment, even outside the boys, I don't care if you guys are subscribers or not, keep it about the boys right now, because this is not going to let us get off track. We're not gonna throw any other YouTubers or other channels or even the good people or the bad people under the bus. This is about the boys. So if you can't keep it about the boys, please, mods, just ban them, hide them from the channel.
I would have to almost say that somebody that comes over and talks poopy today after everything that's gone on, you are one of those people that clearly supports whomever went and vandalized that house where those boys lived at. Please don't come over here and show your hand after all of that stuff. Don't come over here and not support our movement, because if you come over here, you're going to be looked at as someone that helped put those signs and deface that scene, guys. Don't do
or
it to
possibly help hiding the boys, because you guys are all trash. And I'll tell you that now, and I'll tell you that later. But this is the last we're going to speak on that. But mods, please, so I don't have to do everything. If you guys are here, anybody mods, handle this.
Yeah. And you have permission to, it's not my page, but you have permission to completely restrict their access and interaction.
So, well, we're going to leave you guys on this, and we're going to recap. 300 cops, off-duty cops who are working overtime. We're backlogs, back leads all the way to January, I believe. We have some warrants, I believe, and some things that were served where, and I don't know if it's pertaining to this case, but I know from my source that there was cars confiscated, and it's possible with having to do with the drugs and other aspects, not this case, but I have to tell you this just because it's info I got. And again, Benny, we talked about how many warrants are out there. There's at least 50 to over 100 warrants that have been signed off on and are ready to be served. So that's where we're going to leave this right now. And Benny, unless you have anything other to say, and then we'll close out. But I just wanted to make this short and sweet, make it enough to where we know stuff is going on, and help validate and verify stuff that we're doing, and the stuff that we're getting, and let people know that this case isn't over. This case is far from over with searching and with the things that are supposed to be done procedural wise. They're doing the procedures now. Everything, if you notice, is done by procedure. And the searching and the search parting and the amount of officers that they have. The hotel, they sent extra call center for leads, since there's 60,000 plus coming in. And a lot of them, people won't leave their names or the real phone numbers. And we know who you guys are, basically. Right. If you're scared to leave a lead and scared to leave your name, don't even call in and waste your time. Yeah. Don't waste your time. Don't give us the leads. Call law enforcement. Call the number that they have, which we'll put at the end of the video as well. If someone's got it right now, it ends in 4040. I don't have it written down. I'm sorry. So, Leandra, if you want to recap, then you can watch the rest of the video. Excuse me. But otherwise, Benny's been putting in so much work, and up late last night doing some extra stuff for me, and I had to be early at my kids' practice this morning. So, Benny, thank you for everything you do. Our subscribers, Aussie Insider, Angela, Bruce, Leandra, Kathy, Stephanie, Shauna Stain. Shauna, we remember you for sure.
Shauna.
Thank you for being here. Francesca, Rachel, Gigi, thank you for being around. Angela Taylor, Ruby Ray, much love and respect. Krista Marie, Dick Tracy, thank you for coming to the light. Appreciate having you here.
Thanks, guys.
Pass everybody. Appreciate you guys. Much love and respect. And Benny and I will catch you on the flip side, okay? Thank you for being here.